So I'm going to start today's talk by asking you all a simple question. And that is, what exactly do you see when you look at me standing up here? Maybe you see my luscious black hair. Maybe you see my tie that's crooked, my shoes, my black pants. Maybe you see or assume that I'm a lefty. Maybe you assume that I'm compromised or disabled, or that I look different or look funny. Something that you also don't see is what you'll learn when you actually talk and have a conversation with me. That I'm incredibly blessed, that I stay true to my faith, that I have a 14-year-old daughter who I love incredibly to the moon and back, that I run 7 marathons and just finished my 7th 3 weeks ago, that I'm a Yankee fan, that I love so much, that I overcome obstacles. But something you may not see when you look at me standing up here is that every single day of my life, I'm scared. I'm terrified. I'm terrified and scared for the looks, the comments, the snickering, the looking at me and asking, what's wrong with him? Why does he look that way? Why does he look funny? For the kids that look at me when they're in stores or when I'm in the library or when I'm in the mall. Mom, Dad, why does that man look so funny like that? I'm scared for when my daughter comes to me and says, Dad, so-and-so at school asked, what's wrong with you? Why do you look that way? And you know what? The vulnerabilities that I'm about to share with you all during this talk, I embrace. Not because I have a choice, though. It's because that's what my life is, and that's the reality of the life I've been given. But I will tell you, it's okay. Because my book cover is what you see on the outside, and my story is what's on the inside. And what if I told you that the beginning of that story started when I was 2-3 years old, a baby, in La Paz, Bolivia, the capital city. See, I don't know who my natural mom and dad are. I don't even know if they're alive today. I don't know any of my family members. Because when I was a baby in Bolivia, I was burned. I do know my mom's name was Fernando Mendoza, or Ramirez. And I do know that my family had a cleaning business. And I do know that one day there was a chemical explosion in that building, and baby Fern was in that fire. And I do know that La Paz, Bolivia, and Bolivia in itself is a third world country without medical hospitals and all the resources that the United States has. And I do know that I needed extreme medical attention in order to live. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be alive. I was taken in by an organization called Healing the Children. It's a non-profit organization, and I know the founder, Angie, is watching this in a live stream right now. And Angie, I love you. Healing the Children takes in little kids that are in need of medical attention because they don't have the resources. They go out to different countries. And I was taken in. We don't have the medical attention here in Bolivia. We're going to have to send them to the United States to get surgeries. My story continues when I tell you that between the ages of 4 and 13, I had over 12 major operations and surgeries on my body. Fixed my lips, rebuild my hand, make something out of my right hand, reconstruct my ear, fix my nose, taking skin grafts from my leg, from my head. And in every one of those surgeries, my doctors would tell me and say, you're going to be okay. You're going to live a strong life. You're going to be fine. I'm a 42-year-old man standing here, and I can tell you that I could actually go and get more surgeries because there was a lot of surgeries that they told me that I needed when I was an adult. I've chosen not to get them because I am fine. And what I am and what you see is what I embrace every single day. This is who I am. You know, it wasn't always easy because there was times when I was younger where I wanted to go out with my friends and I wanted to throw the football. I wanted to play catch with a mitt. I wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to shoot that 3-point shot. But I couldn't necessarily do that But my friends took it all in and said, we're going to do things that you want to do, that you can do. And I would work my hardest to do that with them. One time when I was 8 years old, I was at a summer camp, and we were picking teams. Fern was the last one picked. Why was Fern the last one picked? Because one of the boys said, don't pick him, he has no hands, he can't catch the ball. When I was applying for my first job at graduate school, I'm not going to say the institution, but I did the interview, I took a bathroom break, I went down the hall. When I came back down the hall, I overheard somebody say to another person, did you see the candidate today? No, I didn't. And then he said, you should go take a good look at him. Then it's okay. Did it hurt in a moment? Absolutely, it sucked, believe me. Almost cried driving home. But the positive is that I can tell you that a week later I took another interview and I got the job that same day. And when I got the job, the person that offered me the job, who ended up being my supervisor for the preceding 8 years, said to me, you motivated us in the room. Your confidence, your spirit, your smile, everything about you. We're not even going to let you leave without offering you this job. And I was forever grateful for that opportunity. But I would be lying if I told you that my career in higher education, spanning 15 years over the course of 4 institutions, I hear the comments every single day. If a student doesn't get our way, or new people that get to campus, gosh, what happened to him? I hear it on this campus, and it's okay. I've dealt with it. I've dealt with it my entire life. It's never going to change. But this talk today is about defining who you are as an individual. And I'm going to look here to our young student leaders that are here. To define who you are as an individual based on what's inside, not what's on the outside. Because you don't know who you're sitting next to and what their story is, and what they are overcoming, and what they have been through. Now, we're always quick to judge, right? Isn't that what society is about? You got to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to be a certain way. Well, for me growing up, it wasn't always that easy because I looked very different. And my mom, who adopted me when I was 4 years, she took me in when I was 4 years old from Bolivia. She was the one that put me in foster care. She was the one that helped get me all the medical attention that I needed. And then she adopted me later on in life. She also adopted my sister from Vietnam. She also adopted my brother from Afghanistan. He's also has deformities on his face. And the 3 of us that were adopted by my mom always would joke around with each other and say, my gosh, our family is like the United Nations. You're from Bolivia, you're from Afghanistan, you're from Vietnam. Thanksgiving dinner was certainly interesting because we're all loud, we're all opinionated. But that was the one space that I knew growing up. I knew I wasn't getting judged. That was the one safe space for me, knowing that they're not looking at my appearance, my physical appearances, they just see me for who I am. And I love every single one of them. And now we're all older, and we all have kids, and we all are all over the country. So I tell you all, please embrace your family members. You never know what happens tomorrow. Please embrace those memories that you have with them. Because I know I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the love and support of my family, of my brothers, of my sister. Sure, we'll tease each other. They make fun of me here and there. That's all good fun. But when I step outside and people make fun of me and they don't even know who I am or give me the opportunity to tell them who I am, that does hurt. I recently went to a conference and I met this man. His name is Leon Ford. He is an African-American man who was driving home one day and got pulled over by a police officer. He wasn't doing anything wrong. And they yanked him out of the car, and one of them actually shot him, and he was paralyzed from the waist down. He told his story at this conference in a wheelchair, and I was so moved by his words because he was talking more and more about accept who you are, but really share with people who you are on the inside. And I spoke to him after the conference. And we locked eyes, and he looked at me and he said, I know you have a story. When are you going to share your story? And it was at the same time that Drew was looking for people to audition for the TED Talk, and that's what motivated me to do it. Because he said, it's your time. It is my time. He messaged me on Instagram just the other day, because I put on my social media that I was doing this. And he wrote me such a heartfelt message about not looking down, but looking right at you all, so you can all see who I am as an individual, because this is who I am. It's not the brown scars. It's not my history, my past. It's not the vulnerabilities that I have. What you see is what you get. I try to lead through laughter, through having fun, through my sense of humor, and it's genuine. I try to lead through my students, no matter where I am, through my experiences, because I've overcome them. And I know you all will overcome any obstacles that you have too. And don't let anybody tell you you can't, because maybe you don't look the way you want to look, or you can't make that three-point shot, or you can't hit home runs, or you don't look like what social media tells you you're supposed to look like. You're going to be successful because of your story and how you overcome it. You're going to be successful by your upbringing, by your faith, by your parents, by your family, but more importantly, what you put your mind to. One other quick short story I'll share. And, I was married, not married anymore. And the biggest lessons I learned when I was married was learning more and more about myself. It just wasn't my time to be married. And when I got over all of that and I moved on, I really started to take a deep dive into what is working for me. And I learned through church and my faith and attending Mass every week and visiting my priest and going to different talks and lectures. And one thing that I learned from that is to embrace what God has given you and to keep it close to your heart. My mom, who passed away 5 years ago, she's a single mom. Like I said, she adopted 3 of us. She would constantly tell me growing up how proud she was of me and how you're gonna do things, you're gonna do big things in life. She would tell my siblings, I'm so proud of him, he worked so hard. In high school and college, I had like 3 or 4 jobs. And she would constantly tell my sister, I'm so proud of him, and he's doing such great things despite everything. So the last story I'm going to share with you, and probably the most important thing. When 5 years ago, I was here obviously working, and my mom was very, very ill. And we were in the middle of orientation leader training. Some of you that were orientation leaders are in this room. During that time, you probably remember this. And we knew Mom was not going to make it. She didn't have much longer to live. And I was doing training with the students. And my brother called me in the afternoon and said, you should probably visit this weekend. So I did training with the students because I want to spend as much time with the students because I love my students and I love what I do. And I drove home to Connecticut and I sat on my mom's bed. And she died the next day. But I am so incredibly blessed and thankful that I got to spend a good hour sitting on my mom's bed, though she couldn't really say much. She was very weak. And one of the last things that she said to me that day was, I'm always going to be proud of you. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do what you want to do because of your looks. My mom passed away the next day. I didn't actually get to say goodbye like my brother did because he was there. And I tell my daughter the same thing that my mom tells me. Don't let anybody judge you by your book cover. Express your story. Embrace it. Love it. Love your parents. Love your family. Love your friends. Love the opportunities that you have. And don't shy away from it. Thank you.